the pursuit of patterns. Change your day, not your life. All options that appear on our path in life eventually compel us to make a decision. Failing to make a decision is a decision to not choose. When it comes to changes we want to make, whether at work, in the status of our physical or emotional health, in our finances, in our relationships, or in any other area of life, we each inevitably reach a point where we must decide to try, and then specifically decide what we will do. I call these decision points mini moments of truth. These are like little personal flashpoints that reveal to us what we must do if we want to move forward in life. The overarching truth is that we do not make choices in a vacuum. Various forces come into play that lead us to favor one choice over another and to transform the choices we make into real-life behaviors. The fork in the road is rarely like Robert Frost's two roads, diverging in a yellow wood. Rather, we nearly always face a three-pronged decision-making fork. 1. Yes, proceed, make the change. 2. No, ignore the opportunity to change, maintain the status quo. 3. Wait and check again later. In other terms, we face a moment when we take action, stay put or procrastinate, putting off a decision or the taking of action. Let me insert a word about procrastination. There are times when it is wise to wait in making a decision or choice that involves others or that is related to a work task. It may not be the right time to set a goal, sell a stock, buy a company, or launch a particular campaign in the work arena, or in any other community venture or organization. However, when it comes to the setting of one's personal agenda and charting one's daily patterns, there is rarely a legitimate reason not to begin. But you may say, I can't exercise right now because I have a torn muscle. In truth, you can exercise in ways that don't require that muscle to be at full strength. But you may say, I can't get up an hour earlier to get a jump start on my day. In truth, you can set the alarm for an hour earlier and make a corresponding decision to go to bed an hour earlier at night. I could give numerous examples, but you get the point. There is always something you can do today to start making progress, to start building momentum. Therefore, in the realm of making personal choices to improve and decisions related to changing your day, procrastination is essentially a no decision. The fork in the road at the personal decision-making level regarding personal change is nearly always a clear-cut yes or no choice. You will choose to make a change or you won't. There is, however, a three-pronged model that is appropriate for personal change, and it applies to virtually everybody. It is rooted in the research of B. J. Fogg, a noted behavior change researcher and professor at Stanford University. He believes that there are three things necessary for a person to take action: motivation, ability, trigger. M plus A plus T equals action. All three must be present simultaneously. For example, if you are tired of being stressed and rushed in the mornings and you desire a calmer and more positive morning routine, you are wise to consider waking up 30 minutes earlier. For this to happen, you must have a motivating reason to do something. It may be that you've missed one too many commuter trains, or that you have left behind something important on too many mornings in your mad dash to get out the door. You need to believe that you have the ability to do it. In essence, you are capable and worthy. You must have a trigger in place to help you do it. For many people, this might be an alarm clock or leaving the mini blinds in your bedroom adjusted so the light of the rising sun awakens you. I am a fan of Fogg's work, but I have developed my own set of 4 core requirements that I have come to see as vital for people who are attempting to thrive or sustain a thriving way of life in a high-demand job or work culture. Figure 8.1 shows the core 4. The core 4. 1. Meaning. You must have a reason underlying what you choose. to do, and especially as you seek to make changes. There must be a clear and meaningful why that you could recite on cue. 2. Confidence. You must believe you can behave as you desire, or that you can learn to make the changes. 3. Energy. You must have sufficient physical and emotional energy to undertake and sustain an activity or change. Let me say 2 things about energy here. There's more later in the book. First, as you perceive the way you want to structure or strategize a good day, you are likely to put too many good tasks into that day initially. You will be wise to limit yourself to just the few tasks or even a singular behavior that are essential, in line with your values, goals, and beliefs. The fewer the behaviors that you seek to build into your definition of a good day, the less energy you will need to get those behaviors molded into a pattern. Second, don't beat yourself up if you don't see yourself as having much energy. Your feelings of exhaustion, stress, of being out of balance, or of being worn out are likely what has led you to read this book. Energy will come increasingly as you work on motivation, confidence, and patterns. Sufficient to the day are the activities thereof, the factors, and patterns described in the remaining chapters of this book are not designed to deplete energy or to exhaust all of your energy resources, but rather to build energy. 4. Patterns. For lasting motivation and energy, it isn't sufficient to trigger the start of a behavior. You must establish patterns that consistently trigger the desired behaviors. Patterns help triggers and behaviors to become self-sustaining or self-fueling. B.J. Fogg advises that if you want to maximize behavior change, you should put hot triggers in the path of motivated people. I agree and would add that if you want those behaviors to become lasting, if not habitual, they need to be encased in daily patterns. Would you like to see how you rate on the Core 4? Take the Thriver quiz at www.andycore.com/quiz. Keep in mind that every time you choose to do what you know you should do, you earn positive behavioral momentum and create a bit of positive energy that propels you forward. The flip side is also true. Anytime you procrastinate, in essence negating or saying no to a behavior that you want to do or know you should do, you subtract from motivational energy. The effects of your behavior accumulate, they add up. The more positive choices you make that turn into positive behaviors, the more you create the energy that is available and that prompts future action. That's how a pattern is built. It is the product of ongoing motivation, accumulated energy, and growing confidence. Let's take a look at how this plays out. What a pattern does for you. Julie and her husband were scheduled to leave for a vacation in Hawaii in 2 days. Julie, however, did not want to go. She said to me, Andy, Hawaii is my favorite place to vacation. My husband and I need some time together. I knew we would likely have a very good time, but I'm really in a good pattern right now. I've been doing things I know I should do on a daily basis. My work is going well. My health and exercise patterns are good. My attitude is good. I'm afraid that if I go on vacation right now, I'll lose the momentum I've built up. I don't want to revert to my old ways. I encouraged her to see that she could maintain her new patterns even in a different environment that had somewhat different tasks and activities. Julie and I especially explored the ways in which a pattern had given her strength to stay motivated. Motivation, of course, is momentum in disguise. I shared with her this core concept. Core concept. Think about it so you don't have to think about it. In my presentations to some audiences, I show a series of 5E images that each have gray and black dots. The Phi RST image has many more gray dots than black, and then as the sequence progresses, the percentage of dots shifts so that the Phi NAL image has many more black dots than gray. I ask, in all 5V images taken together, are there more gray dots or black dots? More than 90% of the people say there are more black dots. In fact, There are more gray dots than black in the 5V images. But because the last image has so many black dots, a tendency called recency bias kicks in. The audience members are influenced by what they experienced most recently. When I show all 5V images simultaneously, rather than in a sequence, almost half of the group will guess correctly that there are more gray dots. Even so, the image with predominantly black dots that is perceived last in a sequence is a powerful cue that leads the other half of the audience to see black as the most dominant color across all 5V images. Hear us how the phenomenon plays out in a daily habitual pattern. When a person has a good day phi led with positive patterns and cues, a day in which the person does all those things he or she thinks he should do daily, that good day is held in memory as a highly positive incentive or trigger to continue or replicate the behavior of the previous day. If a pattern has become entrenched to the point that it is habitual, this means that a person automatically responds according to the pattern in an instinctual way. The pattern has become ingrained and will continue even if environmental or circumstantial factors change. I asked Julie, do you believe you have developed new patterns that have become habits? Do you think that these patterns are almost instinctual? You do them almost without thinking about them? Yes, she said. Then I encouraged her, go to Hawaii, Julie. Trust that the good patterns you've established will be continued there. Trust that, even if they stray a bit, when you return home and restart your current daily way of life, it will trigger your positive patterns to take up where you left off. A pattern creates a tailwind. One morning, my wife, Naomi, was running late and she couldn't find her keys. She became almost frantic. She was late. The keys were missing. At that point, our 4-year-old daughter, Camille, said, "Mama, sit down." Naomi is a very patient person, and even in a rush, she did what our daughter asked. Camille then pulled Naomi's hair back and leaned in to look in her ear. She looked and looked, and finally Naomi said, "Honey, what are you doing?" Camille replied, "I don't know what is wrong. I've seen this done before and it worked." What Camille had seen done before was the coin trick that parents have done for hundreds of years, where they magically pull a coin or some other small object from their ear. Camille was looking for magic in her childlike thinking. She fully expected to be able to pull keys from her mother's ear. The things we seek to build into our day are a little magical. A trigger that prompts an ingrained pattern can save us lots of time and hassle. Indeed, it can help create a tailwind for us that is both motivating and energy-producing. Consider the fact that my wife, at that time, did not have a pattern for where she put her car keys when she entered the house. She might toss them in her purse, lay them on the kitchen desk, stick them in a tray on her dresser in the bedroom, or leave them in a coat pocket. Seconds, and sometimes frantic minutes, were spent every day looking for keys. Once Naomi decided to adopt a new pattern, a change in how she dealt with her keys, things changed. She came to regard as the opening of the kitchen door as a trigger that prompted a set pattern of behavior. She kept her keys in her hand until she put the keys in a small decorative dish that was placed just a couple of steps from the door. Simple, but effective. Not only did Naomi always know where her keys were, but I knew, and so did the girls. The result was no more rushing, no more stress produced by rushing, no more confusion, and no more "I know I should but don't" twinges of self-incrimination. Anytime a person falls short of meaning, or energy, or confidence, or experiences a failure of pattern, a headwind is generated. Life becomes just a little harder and a little more stressful. On the other hand, when a person moves into a situation with great meaning, sufficient energy, and high confidence, and a pattern is in place that helps a person act without thinking about acting, there's a tailwind that makes life easier and less stressful. If an alarm clock triggers you not only to get up, but also to lace on your walking shoes, and if lacing on your walking shoes becomes a second trigger that says, go out for a walk down to them, park and back, then a pattern is being established that becomes instinctual to you. The resulting behavior gives you more confidence, more motivation, and more energy as you move through the rest of a morning. It sets you up for ongoing positive behaviors. Carrying this one step further, the person finds it easier to do other good-for-me behaviors after that first set of good behaviors has been completed. It actually seems to take less effort and energy to do the right things as the day progresses. A lower rate of perceived exertion. In the world of human performance research, the concept of rate of perceived exertion, RP, is often measured to help a person see how much effort or energy that person believes he is using in order to do a task or manifest a particular behavior. For example, if a person is asked to run at a rate of 6 miles per hour on a treadmill for several minutes and is asked how much energy the task is taking, they will say something like, it feels like an 8 out of a possible on the effort scale. With that as a baseline, a coach, physiologist, or psychologist might give the person basic tools and physical and mental training. After only a few weeks of running, when the test is given again and the person is asked how it feels to run for several minutes at a 6 mile per hour rate, the person is likely to say it felt like a 4 on the scale, perhaps even lower. The result is that the body and mind have adapted to the new pattern, and the person perceives that the activity takes significantly less effort. The interesting aspect to this kind of study is that the change is not just in the person's physical strength and conditioning, but also it is a change in their perception. People who are strivers and strugglers very often feel as if they are facing an almost constant headwind in their lives. Often everything feels hard to them. They have a very high daily RP. They feel as if they are continually bucking a trend, trying to overcome a hurdle, or are in a race against time that never stops. This state leaves them consistently asking, why don't I want to do what I know I should? Thrivers, on the other hand, are those who have established patterns that consistently fuel the core 4 and feel as if they are running with a tailwind. They feel calm, free, and energized instead of running into a headwind or as if they are in a straitjacket trying to get free. If you are feeling oppressed in any way about your daily habits, take a long look at the core 4 I described earlier. Are you truly motivated to act in a positive way? Do you have a good reason for doing what you do? Are you seeking to make changes in your day that are for a good purpose, aimed at a good goal? Are these positive reasons and purpose clear to you? Are you fueling your body with the right things for physical and emotional energy? Do you have enough stamina to do what you are hoping to do in the new pattern for your day? Are you confident that you can do what you need to do or feel you should do? Or are you reasonably confident you can learn what to do? Are you going through the course of your new patterns in a way that is engraving a pattern into your mind? Are you using triggers to create patterns that can give you a tailwind? If you feel that life has a very high RP, one or more of these for elements is either missing or is out of whack. Isolate which ones. Have you seen the movie Jaws? It was my father's favorite movie, and every time he concluded that there was nothing good to watch on television, out came the VHS of Jaws. I have seen that movie more often than any other. If you have not seen it, Jaws is the story of a gigantic shark that eats people. I could probably recite the dialogue word for word, but let me focus on my favorite part in the movie. Quinn, the salty, angry, grizzled shark hunter, finds Jaws out in the middle of the ocean. The way Quinn hunts and captures sharks is by shooting them with a harpoon that has a rope attached to a big plastic barrel filled with pressurized air. The barrel is hard to sink, and the more the shark attempts to run or dive deep with the buoyant barrel in tow, the more energy the shark exerts. Eventually, the shark wears out and becomes easy prey for Quinn. Most sharks Quinn has encountered aren't strong enough to pull more than 1 or 2 barrels underwater, but JAWS does this easily. So Quinn and his crew shoot a third harpoon tied to a third barrel of pressurized air. To their amazement, JAWS is also able to pull 3 barrels underwater. They shoot again, a harpoon attached to an unheard of 4th barrel. JAWS takes the 4th barrel underwater, but not for long. Eventually, this much resistance is too much even for a supersized monster. Think of yourself as Quinn. The core 4 concepts of motivation, energy, confidence, and patterns are the harpoons and barrels. No, bad habit, lack of willpower, or self-doubt can last if your day is consistently fueling the core 4. Stick these barrels into your day and you will sink your fluctuating willpower, focus, and energy issues, and you will rise to greater success. When all 4 barrels are in full force and you are experiencing a true tailwind to your day, you are likely going to find it easy to pick up the phone and make the call, that one that you previously found so hard to make after the bloss hit in the middle of the afternoon. Reach for a healthy raw food snack rather than a cookie, which you previously would never have done when you felt the need for something to munch. Dash off a quick thank you email rather than give in to a round of e-reader solitaire, which is what you might have chosen as a means of overcoming boredom or work fatigue. Pick up the papers scattered across your desk and sort, file, or toss them before leaving the office, which formerly seemed like something difficult at the end of a 10-hour workday. None of the tasks or decisions described above are major or take extraordinary energy or amounts of time, but tasks as simple as making a call, writing a quick note, organizing a pile of paper, or making a healthy food choice can seem very difficult to a person who is bucking a headwind. The fact for most people in the above examples is that the task, the call, the note, the paper sort, the snack is going to have to be done eventually, and when that time comes, it will be more resented and seem to take longer than the few seconds involved. You will finish the task and think, why did I wait on this? Remember, the feeling of, why don't I want to do what I know I should, is often a sign that you are walking into a motivation headwind. Why put yourself through that? Why set yourself up for an oppressive, burdensome feeling that life is harder than it really is? Ultimately, it is so much easier to change your day and establish patterns that energize you fully and keep you motivated all the way to bedtime. It is so much easier to feed your mind the right motivational messages, fuel your body and emotions with the right nutrients, bolster your confidence with small accomplishments, and live out instinctual habits of simply doing the right things right, of course, being what you have determined, than to hurl yourself into a day relying on willpower and hoping that somehow the pieces are going to automatically fall into place for you like the right color balls into the roulette wheel. To change your day, remember, the changes that build momentum are rooted in decisions, not additional tasks. The building of a pattern does not require you to make a list of things to add to your daily schedule. In most instances, you will simply be adjusting what you are already doing or want to do in a way that becomes more habitual. Thriver's daily way of life fuels the core 4 and creates a motivational tailwind. Now is the time to ask yourself, 1. Do I have a strong reason for wanting to do certain things in my day? Do the things that I think I should? Do I have value and good purpose? 2. Do I have a base of energy for doing what I want to do in a day? If the answer is maybe not, pare down what you want to do in a day so you can feel more accomplished and fueled by the momentum you build. 3. Do I feel confident that I can do, or I can learn to do what I want to do in a given day? 4. Am I willing to develop triggers that produce patterns? If the answer is yes to these 4 sets of questions, you're ready to launch.